Hello from Jonathan and from me. Welcome to Friday's programme.
Yes, your weekend starts here. First tonight, victory at last for the parents who've battled for years to win compensation for their children.
The 19 young people suffered birth defects after toxic dust spread across Corby during the reclamation of an old steelworks site in the 1980s and 90s. In a landmark High Court ruling last July, Corby Borough Council was found negligent. Today, the council finally agreed to pay compensation to the children affected. Well, Rhiannon Mills is in Corby for us this evening. Rhiannon, what a great relief it must be for all of the families involved.
Jonathan, it certainly is a huge relief. Now, back in the 1980s and 90s, when this former British steel site was being cleared, little did the families that I've been speaking to today expect it to have such a huge impact on their lives. But it left their children with missing limbs, deformed hands, and has seen them fighting an 11-year court battle. Today, they told me that fight is finally over. Look closely at Lewis Waterfield's hands and you can see the legacy of the clean-up of Corby Steelworks. Now 15, he was born with deformed fingers after his mother was exposed to toxic dust.
They had to amputate both my index fingers, and in the process they tried to graft a toe on my right foot and place it onto I think it was my left hand, but that didn't work out, so I was left with 4 toes on 1 foot and basically back where I am. It's nice to know what the outcome is, you know, and that we can finally move on now, and today hopefully marks the end of something, you know, that shouldn't really have happened.
Today, Lewis and 18 other young people won their battle for recognition. Their legal team announcing a settlement for compensation with Corby Borough Council and an apology, bringing relief for Lewis's mum and many others.
You know, thinking, was it something we've done? We went through our medical history and there's nobody in the family at all like it. And we have a daughter who's older and she was fine, just wondering the reasons why, really. So I feel happy but numb, and yeah, it's real and it's over.
Corby became a steelmaking centre in the 1930s, reaching its production peak in the 60s. In the 1980s, as the industry declined, Corby Borough Council began the demolition of steelworks and reclamation of the land, some of it for new housing. The first cases of so-called Corby Hand emerged in 1999. An investigation found no link. Legal action began in 2001, culminating in last year's High Court ruling. The Borough Council still hasn't accepted liability, but today they admitted making mistakes in the clean-up. In a statement, they said, "We accept that money cannot properly compensate these young people. We sincerely hope that this apology will mean that they can now put their legal battle behind them." Susan McIntyre has been waiting 11 years for this day. Her son Connor was born with just 1 finger on one of his hands.
Nothing will ever bring Connor a hand, and as far as I'm concerned, the apology means more to me than any money at all.
Their solicitors won't reveal how much this payout is worth. It won't make these young people millionaires or erase their disabilities, but at least the constant court battles will finally disappear.
Rhiannon, this case is hugely significant, isn't it?
Absolutely. The lawyers today were really stressing the significance of it. They've described it as the largest case of child poisoning since the thalidomide case. They've also said it could have huge implications for councils right across the country if they were doing this kind of work in terms of protecting their residents. But you mustn't forget the young people at the centre of this case. One mother today described this as a terrible part of Corby's history and one that should never be forgotten.
Rhiannon, thank you. Now, it was a day of complete silence in our skies, a day that left thousands more travellers facing disruption as the huge cloud of volcanic ash from Iceland kept planes on the ground.
The unprecedented ban on flights was extended again today until at least 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It meant airports at Stansted, Luton and Norwich are at a standstill, and we're hearing that it could last over the weekend as well. Emma Baker has more.
Stansted Airport as you've never seen it before. At the check-in desks, by the pick-up points, in the skies, silence. This had been the airport yesterday morning. Today, it's a very different picture. Empty check-in desks, no queues. The only thing that's working overtime here is the internet, as passengers desperately try to find that alternative route. For some, it had been a long night. Yesterday, we spoke to Martin Davidson from Norwich, who'd been waiting in the terminal since 4 a.m. He was hoping to fly to Ireland to meet a girlfriend for the very first time. Today, he was still waiting, but his hopes were fading.
I've been speaking to Elizabeth, and she's out of the hotel. She's gone home, but she said, don't give up. And I said, well, OK, I'll stay till 1. And after that, I said, I'm going to go home, because I have had enough.
Martin wasn't the only one who'd spent the night at the airport.
If you go home, we have to come back and go back, and, you know, we have to waste money and so on.
And where have you slept?
What? In shares?
Norwich Airport was deserted today. One flight heading back from Bridgetown in Barbados was diverted to Manchester, which was allowing a small number of flights to land. It left passengers with a long coach journey home. The cloud of volcanic gas from Iceland has been carried towards our airspace by northwesterly winds. It's now drifted over Scotland and the north of England before ending up over the Anglia region and the continent. Today's situation hasn't been bad for everyone. The port at Harwich was doing good business as people tried to buy tickets for ferries across the North Sea. Tonight's sailing to the Hook of Holland is fully booked. For those living under the flight path in villages like Great Hallingbury in Essex, it's been a rare spell of peace and quiet.
It's lovely, lovely, really nice and peaceful, relaxing. You think, oh, it is quite nice after all.
You could get used to this.
I could.
But for businesses who rely on the air industry, it's been a costly 36 hours.
Things are grounded, not working. You're still having to pay all your staff.
And refund the passengers.
Correct, yeah. So it's an ongoing nightmare, unfortunately.
Please help yourself if you like a sandwich here.
Thank you, we are too.
No worries, you're welcome, yeah.
Thank you.
As the day wore on, Ryanair staff at Stansted offered free sandwiches to anyone needing a pick-me-up. It's likely to be the only airline food these passengers will be eating for some time yet. Emma Baker, Anglia News, Stansted.
Well, we have actually had emails from people who live in the area saying how lovely it is without the flights, but it can't last forever. And Emma joins us now from Stansted. Emma, any indication yet of when these flights are going to get going again?
Well, Becky, in the last few minutes, we have heard that Ryanair has announced it's going to be cancelling all flights in Northern Europe until 1 o'clock on Monday lunchtime. So that's going to be bad news for people waiting in the terminal behind me, hoping to catch a flight at some point soon. But in another development, a team from Cranfield University in Bedfordshire have taken off in the last couple of hours to fly to the edge of that ash cloud over the UK airspace. I think you can see pictures of that now. They're taking data from that. That's going to go over to the Met Office, which hopefully will help them forecast how long that's going to be in our UK airspace. The UK airspace here in East Anglia is closed until at least 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We are hoping for another announcement on that at 8:30 this evening, so we will of course bring you a full update on that in our late bulletin this evening.
OK, thanks very much, Emma.